Alright, welcome back to Six Flags merger project. Today we're going to be looking at the Six Flags, the new conglomerate Six Flags chain's second smallest property, Frontier City. Frontier City was the smallest property owned by the Six Flags chain, but now is part of the Grand Company and is the second smallest property of the Six Flags big merger. Gilroy Gardens was a family park. Frontier City is now the first actual roller coaster theme park. They're trying to add as many rides as they possibly can in their small footprint to draw in as many people as possible. Frontier City is located in Oklahoma City, meaning it basically just claims Oklahoma, part of Texas, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, anything that they can bring in from the Midwest. They basically serve the Central Plains states of the United States. So not much revenue here. The park it has some coasters, as you can see. It has a launch coaster, some loopers, a wooden coaster, water park, Ferris wheel. It's got all the major things you need in a theme park. So as you can see, the Frontier City Park map. Water park is going to be in the top left. It's beyond that forest area. It's going to be on the top left section of the park. Not really going to worry about the water park today. We're going to be focusing on trying to fill out that back portion of the park. Got some water rides in mind, also just some various flat rides and a new coaster or two, just to build out this park's portfolio. Because I believe that the Six Flags Spread the Wealth model will be supercharged due to the added revenue from the Cedar Fair parks. So we're going to be using a format for coaster planning, as this park is really only going to be able to get 2 coasters at max. I think realistically this park will get probably 2 coasters in the next few years, but after those first 2 coasters, I don't think they're going to get anything else. So after those 2 coasters that we're going to be looking at, I think there's going to be probably a 5 to 6 year stand with this park. It's nothing, but that's to be expected. But I think Six Flags is going to splurge on this park and then just keep adding flat rides after adding 2 coasters. So as you can see, we have a grid here. This grid is very popular with a very popular coaster enthusiast YouTube channel that I'll be shouting out in the comments, Airtime Thrills. Go look at his videos. He does great videos. But he uses this format grid here to figure out what coasters new parks are looking at, filling out these categories. He has 7 categories. I added my own 2 at the bottom. His first 7: standout coaster. Whenever you think of the park, you think of this coaster. Airtime, coasters that give airtime. Multi-looper, coasters that loop more than 2 times, more than once. Coasters that are not on the track. The cars are not on the track. They're either below the track, on the side of the track. So suspending, inverted, wing coasters, 4D coasters. That's going to be our not on the track coasters. Wooden coasters, coasters made out of wood. Spinning coasters, coasters that spin. Launch coasters, coasters that use launches or boost launches. Water coasters, coasters that have water sections, splashdown sections, and other coasters that don't fit any of the descriptions above. Kiddie coasters, family coasters, mine train coasters, anything that just doesn't fit for the first categories. So, Frontier City has 5 coasters: Diamondback, an Aero Shuttle Loop, Frankie's Mine Train, a kiddie mini mine train, Silver Bullet, Schwarzkopf Looper, Steel Lasso, a Vekoma Hang and Bang, and Wildcat, a wooden out and back coaster. So those coasters combined here, Diamondback is a launched shuttle loop, so it's going to be a launch coaster. Wildcat is a wooden coaster, so it's going to be our wooden coaster area. Steel Lasso, Vekoma Hang and Bang, it's an inverted suspended family coaster, so it's going to be not on the track. Frankie's Mine Train and Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet does have 1 loop, but 1 loop is not a multi-looper coaster, so it's going to go in other, as well as Frankie's Mine Train, which mine train coasters don't really fit any of the other 8 categories, so they're going to go in other as well. So this park has 1 not on the track, 1 wood, 1 launch coaster, and 2 other coasters. So we're looking for standout, airtime, multi-looper, spin, and water. So Frontier City plans. Let's get into the 5-year development. So in 2024, I think they're going to just add a flat ride, but I think they're going to they're going to try to look for a themed flat ride. We have the Sombrero Scrambler clone mentioned earlier. I said that in previous video that Zamperla has been working a lot with Cedar Fair and Six Flags lately, so I think they're going to go to Zamperla to supply their flat rides for most of their parks. So we have three options that we could put in Frontier City. We talked about the Scrambler clone in the earlier video with Gilroy Gardens. We have a Nebula Z and an Air Race as well, both from Zamperla, but I think in 2024 they're going to save their money a little bit and save up for that coaster and go with the cheapest option, the Sombrero Scrambler clone. And I think they're going to put I think they're going to make a new area of the park, kind of like a Samba Fiesta area, and as you'll see, there's actually more Fiesta themed, Mexican themed flat rides by Zamperla, so I think we can add two of them together over a course of time and make like a mini themed area for a Fiesta Village. Alright, for 2025, we did the flat ride in 2024, and we chose the cheapest one to save up for a coaster, and I think in 2025 they're going to go cheap again. Because Frontier City does not have the best budget. Their budget is just a little bit over Gilroy Gardens. They can really only splurge on one coaster, and I think they're going to save their money up for some splurging for another coaster in the future. So I think in 2025 they're going to go cheap. So even though the Hyper GTX is perfect sense for this park because it's a good standout coaster and has great airtime, it's just going to have to wait until they actually splurge on the park. The Wild Moose by RMC is also a possibility. I honestly think it's a very likely possibility because the one that I end up choosing is a cheap coaster that Zamperla is still developing, but I think that the fact that they're offering it, I think small parks are going to go for the disc coaster. We put a disc coaster in Gilroy Gardens. I think we're going to put another disc coaster in this park because honestly, it offers a launch, a spinning car, and a water if you add a splashdown. So I think you can make this a water coaster with a launch and a spinning car, and you take out three things that the park needs. So I think that basically gives this park a jack-of-all-trades coaster to take out three areas of need for the coaster, for the park. And honestly, even though the Wild Moose is an airtime machine, I don't think it's going to be like quite what the park is looking for. But it is also a cheap option, so they may splurge for it in the future. So I'm going to go for 2025, a disc coaster. It gives the park another spin coaster, a water coaster, and another launch coaster. So for 2026, it's going to be more of adding more flat rides. I've added the Fiesta balloons because I think, just like we added Sombrero, we're going to add a Fiesta Village section somewhere around the park, and we're going to put both the Sombrero clone and the Fiesta balloons flat ride. And in 2024 and 2026, two flat rides to build up that area, put some theming, put some food booths, carnival games, and we make a little Fiesta Village section. For 2027, another flat ride. This time I think we're going to go with a themed flat ride and choose the Zamperla Barnyard. Zamperla Barnyard, it's a kind of like a wild bull, a mechanical bull style theme ride, and I think it works out well with Frontier City's overall theming of a frontier town, like an Old West themed theme park. So I think the Barnyard fits perfectly for Frontier City's theme. And for 2028, I've added our new coaster, the Thunderbolt Zamperla small version. This will be a multi-looper. This will give us our multi-looper, which is what we need. We need airtime, standout, and multi-looping. So I've got our airtime with our Wild Moose model, standout airtime with our Hyper GTX, and our multi-looper with our Thunderbolts. But I think the park already has the Aero Shuttle loop and Silver Bullet, which both have loops, so I don't think we need loops. Family Coaster, the Wild Moose, seems like that's good for airtime, and honestly that is the one that I think is most likely for the park. But if I'm Frontier City, I want a good standout, and I think they should definitely splurge and try and put a Hyper GTX by Chance Rides in the park. It offers a good standout, a good airtime coaster, and a small Six Flags park that actually added one of these, Kentucky Kingdom, which is no longer a Six Flags park. When Six Flags was putting money into this park, Kentucky Kingdom was a small park. It was on the scale of Frontier City at that point. Very small Six Flags park, but Six Flags decided to splurge and gave them a Hyper GTX. I think Six Flags, along with Cedar Fair's big money bags and extra revenue would splurge and put this in all their smaller parks. All small parks need a ride like this. They need a Hyper GTX standout coaster. I'm actually thinking about putting Hyper GTXs in all of these smaller Six Flags merger company parks, because any park that doesn't have a hyper coaster just needs a small, basically a half a hyper coaster. It's only 100 feet tall, but it packs a huge punch throughout its 100 feet of ride track. So I think the Hyper GTX will go well for all of Six Flags' all the merger smaller parks. So with our new Hyper GTX, that adds a standout and airtime machine, so +1 to all categories, meaning that the only category that is missing is the multi-looper category. So there's our 5 rides that we added in our 5-year time span. Possible names for them: Sombrero is a good name for the Sombrero one. Raging Raft turned into a water ride for the disc coaster. Fiesta Wheel, Ferris wheel but with balloons. Rockin' Barn for the barnyard. And then the Hyper Express, turn it like a similar, like a mine train style theming, make the cars look like trains, and add a little bit of rock work, and you'll have a pretty good themed ride for Frontier City. So where are we going to put these? Well, as I said before, I'm going to put the Sombrero ride in the section nearest to the Old West area. I'm just going to put it right in the middle of the pathway, which is where they put most of the other flat rides, in the middle of the pathway or on the side. And I'm just going to put it right next to the entrance. As for Raging Raft, I'm going to put it right next to the raft ride. Just put it as like that little straightaway section right between the raft ride and the barn structure, and just put it as a nice water coaster to also put some more attention to the back of the park, so people are more motivated to walk back to the back of the park, ride the wooden coaster, ride the water coaster, ride the Raging Rapids ride, and check out the volcano area. Fiesta Wheel, I'm going to put it right near the Sombrero ride. I'm going to put it near the entrance. Put a little Ferris wheel right next to the entrance, and that may get some people to walk towards the back of the park. We're just trying to direct more traffic to go to the back of the park. I'm going to put more of the thrill rides over in the back of the park, so that thrill seekers go there, families go to the bottom, then they switch off. Families go to the back of the park, while the thrill seekers pass by all the family rides and other roller coasters on the way out from the park. As for our rocking barn, just going to place it near the barn area in the center of the park, near the log flume area. Just going to put it just anywhere. It's a small flat ride, so it can go pretty much anywhere in the park. And for the Hyper Express, I'm going to put it in that back section near the wooden coaster. It can interact with the wooden coaster, go over, under, can interact with the raft ride. It'll just be another coaster to put at it's, as you can see, the other coaster, Raging Raft, is going to be right next to it. I think if we put more coasters in the back half of the park, it'll make more people want to go towards the back half of the park. Thrill seekers go to the back, families go to the front, and then they all rotate around the park. Thrill seekers now can go in the front on the way out the door, while families can go visit all the thrills on the back of the park, see all the sights, see all the volcano stuff, and then walk back out the entrance. I think it's a pretty good way to split up the thrill seekers versus family, and make it so that there's not a lot of long lines at any of the new coasters and rides. Alright, so like I said before, our 2 new coasters have made it so we have 1 standout, 1 airtime, no multi-loopers, 1 not on the track, 1 wood, 1 spin, 2 launch, 1 water, 2 other. So, beyond 2028, they should add more flat rides. Roller coaster will probably be added in the next 5 years. They're mostly going to wait 5 years or longer for a new coaster, so 2033. And I think that they're going to probably look at a multi-looping coaster, maybe that Thunderbolt by Zamperla, maybe an RMC conversion of Wildcat. Honestly, anything is possible. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you really like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Toodaloo!